This is Bishop Jim Dunlop from the Lower Susquehanna Synod, and I bring you greetings on this day of Epiphany. On this day, we celebrate Christ being revealed to the Gentiles. In Matthew's Gospel, we have the story of the Magi coming, following a light that they have seen from a far-off land. And in Isaiah, we hear this language, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For the darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn." Jesus is the brightness of the dawn of God. It's on this day that we celebrate the dawn of the light of Christ. And the gospel says of the people that the light has come into the world, but the people loved darkness rather than the light. And I was wondering if this is true. Do people love the dark? I think if you ask most people, they would say no. And yet we seem to consume bad news more than good. The headlines of our news are murder and terrorism and natural disasters, and the ever-chaotic lives of celebrities. And we may say we don't like this news, but I'm pretty sure the news business knows what sells in their business. And the same reason we slow down when there's a wreck on the other side of the highway to see what's going on, and we end up in bumper-to-bumper traffic, rubbernecking over to the disaster. We seem to have a fascination with some of the dark things in life. It's also kind of lived out in our lives sometimes. Like when you ask someone how things are going and they say, "Well, I can't complain," which is almost saying like, I wish I had something to complain about. And there's really no exception in the church. Complaints are sometimes commonplace. And it's sometimes things that we think things are bad. It kind of feeds into our attitude of scarcity, that we somehow don't have enough. Oh, we don't have enough young people. We don't have enough people in worship. We don't have enough people in the choir. And always, we don't have enough money. And yet we are richly blessed. And the church isn't like the good old days. Well, the truth is that it will never be like the past. And yet the light of Christ continues to break into our lives. And that's what this day reminds us of, that the light has come. But more importantly, the light still shines in our lives and in the life of our church. And to that end, we're going to be working in the coming months on what I've been calling bright spot ministries. I picked this up from a book called Switch by Dan and Chip Heath, subtitled "How to Change Things When Change is Hard." It's the idea that even in difficult situations, there are things that are working and places where the light is shining. And in theological terms, where the light of Christ is shining. And that's what we see in our synod every day. So in the coming months, we'll be lifting up places where the light of Christ is shining in our synod in a series of videos. I'm grateful for the thoughts of Bishop Robert Cheness of the Methodist Church. In his writing, he's lifted up 5 practices of fruitful congregations as he looked at bright spots in the church. And he saw 5 practices that really are bright spots in places where churches are growing. He calls them radical hospitality, passionate worship, intentional faith development, risk-taking mission and service, and extravagant generosity. These 5 characteristics we see in lots of our places are bright spots in our synod. So on this day of Epiphany, we remember that the light of Christ is in our lives. And as a synod, we'll be bringing you videos that will talk about the places where we see that light shining in the ministry of the church. These are incredibly exciting times in the ministry of the church as we looked to the light of Christ, which shines all around us, and we give thanks for Christ's presence in our ministry together.